Okay, I don't have any clue on that. Okay, no?
So, sir, should I leave?
Yeah, I think you should be leaving then. Okay, now ask them like why you were provided with the link of this meeting. Okay, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Yes, bye. Yes, Suleiman. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Where have you been, Suleiman? Like you have joined class after a while. Yes, I guess I'm audible to you. Yes, Suleiman. How are you? Yes, Suleiman, just wait for a minute till I made the co-host of the meeting. Meanwhile, you tell me like where have you been? You have joined cluster after a long time. How your studies have been going on? Your schools must have reopened by now. And what's going on in the school? Suleiman, can you hear me? See, if you can't turn your mic on, then just type in the chat box. While you were away, we were doing the chapter asset bases and salts. In that chapter, so far we have had learned about various things like we. Let me just drop a reminder for the team to make me the co-host. Co-host, huh? Meanwhile, in the class, in the batch, we have learned about what are assets, what are different properties of assets, huh? What are different types of assets, what is a base, what are different types of, what is the property of base, and what are the different types of bases. So did you watch the recording of those topics or not? Yes. Okay. Yes. Sulman, are you there in the class or not? Sulman, are you there in the class? See, how are we supposed to start the class if you won't be responding? How will I get to know like what's going on, like what chapter is going on in the school? Huh? Did you understood everything we have discussed so far? Okay, okay. So that is the problem. Okay, okay. So you're having some network issue. Okay, okay. Just mention this thing like, have you watched the recording of the previous lessons, and while you were present in the last class, which topic was going on? Like I can't confirm to that because I don't recall like when you were present. So do tell me which topics you have missed in this chapter, or have you missed the entire chapter? Just let me know that much, since you are the only one right now in the class, so we can discuss those things before continuing further. Okay, while you will be typing, let me just give you a brief into what we have discussed so far. So far in the class, we did learn about acids. We did learn about what an acid is, what are the different properties of acids. Any substance that will be sour in taste will be corrosive in nature, will eat the surfaces of things, that will be called as acids. Getting it now? So we have different things that we consume on a day-to-day basis as well, that are acidic in nature, that have a sour taste, so thereby they contain acids in them, like vinegar, that is also called as sirka, जो kitchen में use होता है, that is used in the kitchen. So sirka is contains an acid. Lemon juice contains an acid in it. uh, Oranges contain acid in them. So those these are some general things about acids. Okay. Furthermore, important thing is that acids are of two types. One of them is a strong, another one is weak. The strong acids are also called as inorganic acids, or they are made by man also. Some of them are man-made, some of them can be found in the nature also, like sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and hydrochloric acid. These are some of the common examples of strong acids. Then we have examples of some naturally occurring acids also, which are also called as organic acids. So we have the example of certain fruits like oranges. We have some food like curd, that is also called as dahi. So curd or vinegar, or like the ant bite or the bee sting. Hmm. Whenever you get bitten by a bee or ant, it gives a burning sensation. It is so painful. Why is it so? Because it contains an acid in it. Vinegar contains an acid called as acetic acid, or curd contains lactic acid, huh? Or like oranges would be containing citric acid in them. Getting it now? So just like that, we have some other edible substances, edible food like tamarind. huh? So ever wondered like why tamarind is so sour? It's because of presence of tartaric acid in it. Then we have a spinach. It contains an oxalic acid. So you see, all these acids, it does not. These acids are not very harmful for the body, but rather they are good for the body. Right now, they are good for the body. They improves our immunity. Uh, they contain antioxidants in them. Anyways, but the basic thing is that all these acids are weaker in nature. Huh? So we can basically just by tasting these foods, as these food would be sour, we can say that they contain acid. Huh? But on the other hand, we have some acids which are stronger. We can't put even a drop of these acids into our tongue, in our mouth. If we were to do so, our organs, our tongue, huh, our food pipe, our stomach would be getting damaged by it. So thereby, in order to check a strong, in order to check whether a given substance is acidic or not, we have a substance. We have a substance called as litmus paper, which is basically a indicator. Okay, now which using which you can tell whether a given substance is acidic or basic in nature. Okay, now so we can do that. So for example, litmus paper, it comes in two colors. One of them is the blue color, another one is in the red color. So say given you are provided with a sample. So if you were to dip the blue litmus paper in that sample, if the color changes from blue to red, then it's a proof that the given material is acid. So this is how we can identify whether a given substance is acid or not. अगर आपने, if you have dipped a blue colored litmus paper, and that part of the litmus paper which has been dipped into the acid, if it converts into red color, it's a proof that the given material or given substance is acidic in nature. There are different sources of acid right now. Moments ago we have discussed about it. Then later on the chapter we did learn about the what are the safety measures while you would be using acid. So for example, we are handling the acids. Like for example, you are doing some work in chemistry lab, so you must wear the safety gloves. You have to wear the safety gloves, safety shoes. You have to wear the safety specs in order to prevent yourself from any mishappening. So for example, if a person were to ask to add to dilute an acid, like say you are provided with a strong acid. I have given you a sample of a strong acid. Let's say I have provided you with a strong acid, that is hydrochloric acid. But strong acids can be made weaker. It can be diluted by adding water into it. When you add water into acid, it will become weaker. But the question is, what should be the manner of adding water into acid? Should I pour water directly into acid, or should I pour acid to water drop by drop very slowly? So the correct method is that always we should be adding acid to water, and that too it should be done drop by drop. Getting it now? Yes, Suleiman? If you're getting it, just raise your hand in the class. Okay, no? You can raise your hand in the class if you're getting it. Or in the chat box, also try to be active in the chat box. That's how we can continue the class. Unless you get the stable connection. So far, you have understood these things now, Suleiman. Yes or no? Just answer yes or no in the chat box. See, it becomes a bit of challenge to continue the class when if I happen to face network issue, or if the student happens to face some network issue. So it becomes kind of a challenge, because I don't get to know this thing, like whether the student is getting the given concept or not. Okay, I think my voice is stucking for you, since your connection might not be stable, so it would be kind of stucking in between. Then later on in the chapter, we did learn about different uses of acids. So there are multiple uses of acids. There are so many areas in which where acid would be used. Like for example, the cold drink that you consume. Although you shouldn't be we shouldn't be consuming cold drinks, they are harmful for our health. Huh? So aerated drinks, basically, like air molecules are filled in them. So basically, carbonic acid is a kind of acid that is used in making of so many cold drinks. Then we have an acid called as sulfuric acid, which is used in car batteries, and it is also used in making paints. Uh, in the manufacture of wine, in the manufacture of alcohol, an acid called as tartaric acid is used. Then we have some other acids like hydrochloric acid. Remember in the chapter Nutrition in Animals, there we did learn that this hydrochloric acid, which is a strong acid, it is secreted by the inner lining of the inner walls of the stomach also. So we did learn about this thing as well. Okay, Suleiman. So there, this hydrochloric acid, how is it important? It is important as it helps in the process of digestion by killing the bacteria that might have entered your stomach along with the food. It will also make the medium in your stomach acidic. Okay, no? Then we have some other acids like salicylic acid. So it is used in making aspirin. Aspirin is one of the most common painkiller. Okay, no? Then certain kind of acids would be used to clean the sink or the sanitary ware. So there also acids are used if something gets stuck in the sink, lots of dirt accumulates in the sink. So thereby by using this using hydrochloric acid, we can clean it. I suppose you're getting it so far. Then later on, we did learn about bases also. Good. We did learn about bases also, and we did learn that what bases are. Okay. So there we did learn that bases would be any substance. Like for example, this might have happened with you. Like you're taking a bath and accidentally some soap might have entered your mouth. So you would have to gargle. You have to clean your mouth with water. Why? Because you will get a very bitter taste. It will be very bitter in taste. Hmm. Or for example, bitter gourd, which we call as karela. Karela, I think karela, yeah. So that is also having a bitter taste. For example, the baking powder that we use in kitchen or which is used in baking industry, that also has a very bitter taste. Getting it? So there are some substances that are having a very bitter taste. Also, those substances like soap in if you add some water to soap, it becomes very slippery. It becomes very slippery and has a soapy touch. So bases would be those substances when water is added into it, it will be slippery and it will be bitter in taste. So that is water bases. Also, there are different kind of base. We can't go on to check and touch every base because some of the bases will be very strong and they are corrosive, meaning that if you were to hold it in your hand for some time, it can eat your skin. It can damage the skin. So thereby, we can't hold it. We cannot taste certain kind of base. So for that purpose, we have an indicator called as red litmus paper. So say I am provided with an unknown solution. I don't know what is the nature of the solution, whether it is acidic or whether it is basic in nature. So if I were to dip a red litmus paper into that solution, and if the color of the red litmus paper changes to blue, so thereby it's a proof that the given solution is basic in nature. That's how we check whether a sample is acidic or basic in nature. Apart from this, there are numerous other ways with the help of which we can check whether a given substance is basic or not. Right now, I have only given the example of litmus paper. Furthermore, we did learn in the class that there are some kind of bases that will be soluble in water. Not all the bases are soluble in water. So those bases that are soluble in water, they are called as alkali. They are called as alkali. So far, is it clear to you, Suleiman? Then, as I gave the example of a strong and weak acids, so similarly, we have a strong and weak bases also. So, for example, lithium hydroxide, or sodium hydroxide, or potassium hydroxide, these are some common strong bases. Ye strong hai. Then ammonium hydroxide or copper hydroxide, these are some weak bases. So we can have both the type of bases. We do have both the type of bases. Then we did learn about examples of some bases and how they are used. For example, sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH. This is the base that is used in making soaps. Sodium bicarbonate is used in manufacture of detergent. Certain kind of bases would be used in laboratories to carry out different experiments. Ammonia, which is a basic substance, it is used in manufacture of fertilizer. Sodium fluoride, it is used in toothpaste. And then you have calcium hydroxide, it is used in the manufacture of cement. Getting it now? This is used in the manufacture of cement. Furthermore, in detail, we have some other uses also, by the way. But even if you happen to memorize 5 or 6 of them, that will be sufficient. You'll be able to answer in the exam. So these are some of the common uses of bases which we have learned in the class. Then we had the special case of a base called as quicklime. You might have, if you happen to visit a village, so there you will see that the people there will not be using expensive paints to paint their wall, paint the houses. They will be using what we call in Hindi as I don't know exact word for that in Urdu or Hindi, but it is basically quick lime that we use. Say for example, what people would be doing, they would be purchasing these quick lime, these rock from the market, the one that you see in the background of the question, and they will be soaking it in water overnight. So for one night they will be soaking it in water, and the next day it will be ready to be used as a paint. So let us understand how this quick lime, how it is used. Look at this video. It hasn't started yet. Now see over here. In a bowl, we took some quick lime. We have added some water to it. Now notice how bubbles will be coming out of it. It's an indication that lots of heat is being produced. Lots of heat is released in this reaction. Where quick lime, that is calcium oxide, CaO. So calcium oxide would be reacting with water. This person is pouring water into this. And Suleiman, notice that so many bubbles will be formed and a little bit of explosion will also occur. Now see this little bit of explosion. So thereby you have to protect your face, or protect your eyes particularly. And notice how the bubbles are coming out of it. So this is an indication that when this quick lime, in Hindi I think it is called as tuna or something like that, if I'm correct. So when water is added, it gives out lot of heat. But the main thing is that this calcium oxide, after reacting with water, converts into calcium hydroxide, which is also called as slaked lime or lime water. Know that this is the common name for calcium hydroxide. ये common name है calcium hydroxide के लिए. In this reaction, heat is also released. So this was the special case of use of quick lime. So basically, when this slake lime is ready now, जब reaction complete होता है, when the reaction between quick lime and water is completed, you get a thick paste. एक white thick paste obtain होता है हमें, and that paste can be used to paint the walls. Walls को paint हम कर सकते हैं. We can paint the wall using that. And also, if you were to touch the wall after a few hours, you observe that the paint becomes hard. So there what happens, sir? So this calcium hydroxide, जिसे आपने दीवार के ऊपर पेंट किया है, which you have painted over the wall, it slowly reacts with carbon dioxide in the air. एयर में मौजूद कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड से ये रिएक्ट करता है, it reacts with it. And as a result of that, what happens? It forms calcium carbonate. What happens? Calcium carbonate is formed. That's why it becomes very hard. Got this now? Okay. Then in the chapter, there was one more thing which was completed. It was about the neutralization reaction. So see, okay, whenever an acid will be reacting with a base, for example, एक acid है हमारे पास, we have hydrochloric acid, and this is reacting with a base like sodium hydroxide. Getting it? Hydrochloric acid is reacting with sodium hydroxide. So as a result of that reaction, salt and water is formed. Just hold on for a minute. There's someone on the door. I will be back in a minute. Yes, Suleiman. Okay, so what I was saying about neutralization reaction is that, okay, so far we have learned about acid and base. We did learn about their properties. कि इनकी properties क्या होते हैं? What are their properties? Talking about neutralization reaction, see, in this reaction, what happens? An acid would be reacting whenever an acid would be reacting with a base, no? So thereby that will give you a neutral substance. A neutral substance will be formed, which will neither be having any property of acid, which will also not be having any property of base. So that neutral substance which you obtain, that is called as salt. As a result of this reaction taking place between acid and base, a salt will be formed. Along with that, water is also released and some heat will also be given off. So if you were to touch this glass, touch this flask, it will be warm. Hope you have understood this. Okay, now good. So this reaction between acid and base, there are numerous examples that happens in our day-to-day life where we can observe this neutralization reaction taking place. Consider this example, like if someone in the family happens to suffer from acidity, no? So thereby the doctor will recommend to take some antacids. Let's say a person is right now suffering from acidity. So in this, what happens? Lots of hydrochloric acid is produced in the stomach, and sometimes it can even pass into the food pipe. Kabhi, it sometime it can even go into the food pipe and can give you chest burn. Can give you chest burn. So thereby the person will be in discomfort. So to get relief from this, so then what has to be done? We take an antacid, as you can see over here, as the antacid, namely milk of magnesia, which is an antacid, and this is a basic substance. When it is taken, so it will be react with acid, and see how it has now been neutralized. It has been not neutralized. So the acid in the stomach would be reacting with that basic substance. So the one that you see, sometimes you might have taken this medicine. Like usually this is given to kids. Like kids, they are many times when you have been a kid, you might have actually taken this medicine as a kid. So because children also sometimes suffer from acidity, from indigestion as well. So there, what is happening? A neutralization reaction is taking place. Or sometimes if you get bitten by an ant, or we are bitten by a bee, so thereby by rubbing some baking soda, moist baking soda, we can get relief from that. Okay, now furthermore, the soil. Talking about the soil, if the soil is acidic in nature or if it is basic in nature, so thereby the plants will not grow well. So the pH level, or basically the nature of the soil, should be neutral. It should be neutral. Only then plants will grow well in that kind of soil. So that is also the thing. Furthermore, you see, the industries, different kind of factories, the kind of waste, the liquid waste that will be generated in the factory would be generally acidic in nature. They generally are acidic. So before really being released into the water bodies, it must be treated with some basic substances to make it neutral. To make it neutral before discharging it. So there also neutralization reaction will be taking place. So that is some example which we have discussed. So these were the things that have been completed, and in brief, I have tried to sum up everything for you. Okay. But the salt was also there. Talking about the salt, salt is basically a product that we obtain out of the neutralization reaction that takes place between acids and bases. We have one common example of neutralization reaction which we did discuss moments ago, like between hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. This is hydrochloric acid and this is sodium hydroxide. So when the reaction takes place between this, we get the common salt. This salt is sodium chloride. This is sodium chloride, and this is one of the most commonly used salt. So इसे हम common salt भी कहते हैं. This is also called as common salt. Along with that, water will be given, and some heat is also released. So this is the one of the most common ingredient that we use in our day-to-day life. Furthermore, salts के कई types होते हैं. Like some of the salt can be obtained in a laboratory. Some of the salts are formed in the nature also. right? Now, some of the salts are available in the form of rocks. So, how they would have been formed? So, those salts would also have been formed out of a neutralization reaction, due to neutralization reaction. Now, talking about कि why salt is essential for our body. क्या salts हम consume करते हैं only for the sake of taste, or is it actually important? You might have seen certain people in your general knowledge book, in real life also. You might have seen some people whose neck would be swollen like this. Have you ever seen such people, Suleiman? Yeah, in India, na, even I also saw, like in my hometown also, there's a woman who's suffering from this condition, from this deficiency disease. So this deficiency disease is called as goiter. So what basically happens in the goiter? Na, see, there's a gland in our neck. हमारी neck में एक gland है जिसे हम thyroid कहते हैं, which we call as thyroid gland. Now the function of this thyroid gland, na, कि it does so many functions. Like what it does, na, it produces a hormone. See, if there is an absence of iodine in the salt, now if your body does not get adequate amount of iodine, if the body of a person does not get adequate amount of iodine, so it might lead to this condition. Okay, now the because of that, this thyroid gland will swell. It will swell. Basically, it will expand. So say कि a person is living in a mountainous region, and usually mountainous region में salt indigenously produce होता है. They would be producing salt indigenously also, locally also. So the kind of salt that is available there, it lacks iodine. Iodine की कमी होती है. It doesn't have iodine in it. So the kind of salt, the salt that they will be consuming, it will have very less amount of iodine. So in order to absorb maximum amount of iodine, so that this thyroid can absorb maximum amount of iodine, it expands. ये अपने surface area को increase करता है. It increases its surface area for maximum absorption of iodine and salt. As a result of that, it expands. Getting it, no? So that is something what happens. Okay. Apart from this, salt में sodium present होता है. The salt that we consume, it's sodium chloride, so it contains sodium and chlorine. And sodium is important in our body for various functions, like it regulates the blood pressure. It regulates the blood pressure. If a person is consuming too much of sugar, huh, if a person is sharing too much of sugar, so thereby the blood pressure might increase. Thereby the person with high blood pressure will be recommended by the doctor to decrease the consumption, to lower down the consumption of salt or salty food. Okay, that is one thing. Hope you would have understood that thing. That thing. So goiter is caused due to deficiency of iodine. So if a person consumes a kind of salt that is low in iodine, so the thyroid gland will expand in order to absorb maximum amount of iodine. Although the body will not be intaking that much of iodine, but still it will be expanding. Okay. Then there are namely four type of salts which we have studied. See, in the beginning, I did told you that they can be strong acid and strong bases, weak acid and weak bases. So if a strong acid and a strong base reacts, it forms a neutral salt. Okay, that salt will be neutral in nature. Hmm. Or if a weak base and a weak acid reacts, that will also form a neutral salt. Okay, no? Then you have another combination where a strong acid is reacting with a strong base, like hydrochloric acid is reacting with ammonium hydroxide. So it forms an acidic acid. Out of this reaction, acidic salt will be formed. So why the salt is acidic in nature? Because the acid was stronger. So the salt will be inheriting some acidic property. Okay. We have another combination where a weak acid is not reacting with a strong base. So thereby you have a basic salt. Why it's basic? Because the base was strong. So it inherited some basic property. So these are the types of salts which we did discuss in the class. The next thing which we had to discuss, like if others were to be present in the class, if everyone were to be present, we would have started our discussion from this topic because all other topics have been completed. Okay, na? So since others are absent today, so thereby you got to revise all the things which you had missed. Suleiman, if you have any doubt, please let me know. I have just given you a general introduction of acid, base, and salt and neutralization reaction also. Have you understood all of that? Oh, very good. Also, it is equally important that after the class, you revise all of it. Otherwise, you will tend to forget them in time. Okay? So it is important to memorize the different things also. Now, the main another part of the chapter, we're going to learn about what are indicators. Indicators किसे कहते हैं? Okay, ना? You see, indicator would be indicator. 1 minute, let me give the topic. Talking about indicator, we can call it as a dye, D-Y-E. We can call this as a D-Y-E, dye. Basically, it's a dye that will be changing its color when it is put into an acid or a base. When you put it into an acid or a base, it will change its color. For example, as we had learned in the case of litmus paper, when the litmus paper were being put into acid or base, its color was changing. Okay. Its color was changing. So something which we have learned. So that is what an indicator will be. That an indicator will be any substance which will be giving different colors in an acid or in a base. So it basically tells us whether the substance we are testing is an acid or a base by change in its color. Right? That is what an indicator is. But that's not all about indicator. Not all the indicators would be changing their color. We have certain exception to it. So thereby, the indicators have been categorized into two types. One of them is called as a visual indicators. Another one is called as olfactory indicator. What do I mean by this? See, visual basically something which you can see, something which you can sense with your eyes. So if the color change is taking place, you can observe it with your very eyes. So there would be some indicators where that will be changing its color. So those are called as visual indicators, where you'd be namely learning about litmus paper, like the one that is over here. Then you would be learning about some other indicators like China rose petal. Okay, now you'd be learning about this. Then you'd be learning about some other indicators, like after learning about litmus paper, you'd be learning about this one. We'd be learning about naphthalene, phenolphthalein, methyl orange. These are some of the indicators which will change its color. So they are called as visual indicators. We can put all of them into a category that is visual indicators. Okay. Then we have another type of indicator. We have another type of indicator where the smell will be lost, or smell might not be lost. It might be retained. So there would be certain substances that they will be losing their smell in the acid, while in the base they will be retaining their smell. They will not be losing, or might opposite might also happen. So they are called as olfactory indicators. Olfactory here refers to smell. Olfactory here refers to smell. So there are two kind of indicators, two groups of indicator we can see. Hope you have understood that classification of indicator. Okay. So let's start from here. So talking about visual indicators, what we have learned that substances which are used to check whether a given substance is acid or not by changing its color are called as visual indicators. In general, talking about what an indicator is, so substances which are used to test whether a substance is acidic or basic are called as indicator. Here we are not talking about sense of about smell or color. Only we are saying that substance which should be used to test whether a substance is acidic or basic in nature. Okay, now. So let's start from this one. Okay. There's another way to classify the indicators also. In another manner also we can classify them. Like some of the indicators are found in nature. Some of the indicators are natural things that can be used to check whether a given substance is acidic or basic or neutral also. While some of the indicators are made in the laboratory, they are made using certain chemicals, like the one that you see in this slide, like phenolphthalein or methyl orange. In a laboratory में manufacture करते हैं, so we call them as synthetic indicators. We can classify them as synthetic indicators. Hope you're getting it. Okay. So first of all, we are going to learn about the natural indicators. What are the natural indicators which we have? Also, don't get confused in this classification which I have told. Basically, visual indicators are those indicators which would be changing its color, while olfactory indicators would be those indicators which would be losing its smell or might not be losing its smell. That's how you will be able to say whether the given substance is acid, base, or if it's neutral. Getting it now? So right now talking about the natural indicators. So plants or plant parts that would contain some useful chemicals in them, so using which we can check whether a given substance is or acid or base. Those are the natural indicators. For example, this China rose that you see over here, no, the one that you see over here, both of them are actually the same thing, this one and this one. So this China rose, a flower, with the help of the petals of the China rose, now we can make a solution, and that solution can be used to check whether a given substance is acid or base or none of it. We have some other things also, like in this image you have could have seen, like I have taken a cabbage also right now. So the red cabbage leaves can also be used to as an indicator. In fact, turmeric, that is haldi, turmeric can also be used as indicator. We have some other indicators like grape juice, even turnip skin. Turnip, I think you understand what turnip is. Curry powder, cherries, beetroots, onion, tomato. All of these are certain natural plant or plant parts that can be used to check whether a given substance is acid or not. We don't have to study about all of them. There are only some of them which we are going to study. Like we are going to learn about the China rose petal, then we'll be learning about the um, we'll be learning about this turmeric powder. Okay, and then later on we'll be learning about onion also. So let's start from this one, from China rose petal. I suppose you are getting it so far. Okay, no? So talking about China rose is a basically a natural indicator. Okay, or and in Hindi or in Urdu, I think this is also called as gudhal. In Urdu, this is also called as gudhal. Hmm. So China rose indicator. First of all, what do we do now? Let us first of all understand, if you happen to have this flower in your garden, you can also prepare a indicator. Prepare the indicator. What you have to do, like we are doing an activity, let's say. The activity is aimed at making a China rose petal solution. Okay, and that is what our activity is. Our aim of the activity would be to make the China rose indicator ourselves. To make it ourselves. So what you can do, collect some, step number one, collect some petals. Collect some petals. You understand what is petal now? What are sepals and petals? Petals are the colorful leafy structures. They are called as petals. Okay, no, that is what petals are. Sepals are basically right beneath the petals. You would see the like they're green leafy structures which are called as sepals. Okay, now like for example, say I am drawing a flower. Let us say okay, I am drawing some flower over here. These are the colorful parts of the flower, which are called as petals. And you will see that right beneath this, there would be some leaf-like structures. Although these are not leaf, but these are leaf-like structures. And these leaf-like structures are called as sepals. इन्हें हम sepals कहते हैं. So this is what sepals are. The spelling is SEPALS. SEPALS. Okay. Hope you would have understood this. So you have to collect some petals of the China rose flower and place them in a beaker. So take a beaker and you have put those China rose petals in this. Step number 2, put them in a beaker. In the next step, add some warm water in this. We have to add some warm water in this. All right. So we have added some warm water in this. Okay. Next, what you have to do, by filtration, you have to remove the petal. By filtration, remove the petals by filtration, or by basically pour this into another beaker. So आपने pour किया another beaker में, you have basically pour it on in another beaker. Pour it another beaker with the help of filtration. Like you can use a sieve over here. You can use a sieve to filter it out. Now this solution would be actually pink in color. This would be light pink in color. This would be looking light pink in color. So that is how you can prepare it. And step number 3, add water, add warm water, and remove basically and filter it. So you'd be obtaining a light pink solution, light pink color solution. Now this light pink solution would be now acting as a indicator. So this will be now called as China rose indicator. This is a China rose indicator, and now we can use it. So look at this middle one, the one that you see that is light pink in color now. Let us understand how it will be working. So for example, if I were to add few drops now, मैंने acidic substance के कुछ drops add किए हैं China rose indicator में, right now. So acid would be turning the China rose indicator to magenta or deep pink color. Okay, now upon addition of acids, you have added few drops of acids in this. So let's see this. This is how it will be converting. The color will change to magenta or deep pink. Magenta or deep pink. Although in the picture it's not very clear. It's not very clear, but try to understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, now it would be kind of like this if I can. This is how it will be looking. Okay, Suleiman. Next, when you add basic substance into the indicator, let's say you have taken few drops of a base, so then you will observe the color changes to green. The color changes to green. So that is an indicator for acidic and basic substance. This is how the China rose petal will be working. So hope it is clear to you. Hope you have understood this. Okay. And in fact, you can prepare it at home also. It is so simple. This is one of the natural indicator right now, which we have discussed. Then we have another natural indicator also. Okay, no? Okay, you tell me about this thing. Have you seen this thing before? This structure, have you seen it anywhere? No. See, basically these structures are called as lichens, and these are symbiotic relationship shown between alga and fungi. I think you would have learned. In fact, I would have shown the same image in the previous classes while we'd be doing the chapter nutrition in plants. There you had learned about insectivorous plants, symbiotic organisms. So many kind of things we have learned there now. So we did learn about fungus and alga. Both of them would be living together. Just 1 minute. There's someone on the door. I'll be back in a minute. Yes, Suleiman. So what I was saying that fungi and algae, both of them lives together. Algae, it can perform photosynthesis, while fungus, they are good absorbers of water. Okay, now. So in the process of photosynthesis, the alga would be preparing the food and it supplies the food to the fungi. And the fungi in return provides the algae the water. So both of them would be living together in a symbiotic relationship where both of them would be benefited from each other, and both of them appears as lichens. Right now, so the litmus that we're going to study about, it is obtained from the lichens, Getting it now? So this is litmus is also a natural indicator. Getting it now? So what basically we do, Suleiman, we extract this. We extract this from forest or some polluted area. Usually this lichen will be found growing in polluted areas. So we scrap it out of the dead barks of the plants. Then it is dried. Then we make, by processing it, we make a paper out of it. We make paper strips out of it, like this. We make a paper strip out of it. So when we would be obtaining this litmus, when we make litmus, at that time it is actually purple in color. Okay, now the natural color is purple. Okay, then later on it is changed into red and blue color. Later on we convert this into red and blue color. So when this litmus paper will be added into, like for example, the blue litmus paper is added into a given solution, if the color changes to red, it's a proof, it's an indication that the given substance being tested is an acidic solution. Or otherwise, if you happen to have a red litmus paper, if it is dipped in a given solution and the color changes to blue, thereby it's a basic solution. So answer this question, Devinder. What conclusion do you derive from this? Just observe this. I think this, okay, this is on a stop, like this. Look at this one. Yeah, answer this one. What conclusion can you draw from the given animation? The one I am circling. This one. Ms. Suleiman, observe the given video, given animation. What conclusion can you draw out of this? As on a blue litmus paper, the given solution is dropped and the color changes to reddish. So the solution, this drop must be a basic or a acidic substance. What it should be? Moments ago we have learned, if you have a blue litmus paper, this one is blue in color, and if I drop some acid over it, like I have dropped some acid over here, and here the color changes to red now. As we have learned, when acidic solution is dropped over a blue litmus paper, the color changes in red. So that's it for today. We'll be continuing from here in the next class. In the next class, we'll be learning about few more things. By the way, you tell me, like from your syllabus, no, the syllabus which I got, your exam, when your exams are going to be, will it be on 10th of September?